On this monumental evening, the chair would like to call to order the regular meeting of CUSD 201 Board of Education, October 25th, 2016. And roll call, please.
Ms. Ambrose. Mr. Armstrong. Mrs. Charlton.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mrs. Notbush.
Here.
Mr. Price.
Here.
Ms. Wilson. Thank you.
If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item on the agenda is approval of minutes. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the October 11th, 2016 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session of the October 11th, 2016 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, we will have, first of all, are there any public comments? All right, then we will move to celebrate success.
Hello, we're the teachers from South Early Childhood Center. We do Parents' Night every 2 times a year.
Could you, just for those that don't know, could you give us your names?
Yes. So this is Renee Jungman. She's my teacher's assistant in the First Start program. This is Lillian Tsai. She's the all-day program. This is Mrs. Stump, Joan Stump. She's 2 half sessions, the EC program. And then I'm Jill Deck, and I'm the full-day First Start teacher. Or I'm sorry, 2 half sessions. All right.
Didn't mean to throw you off your game.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We're going to play our video that we show at all the parents' nights. We always put together a slideshow for the parents, just good memories throughout the year. Unfortunately, the sound's not working right now, so you'll just have to enjoy the pictures. But.
Oh, cute. You look so happy.
Sorry, it would have been much better though.
So just like you said, it would have been a lot better without you. But that just gives you a picture of all the events that we do throughout the year. We do a lot of community type things, and Westmont, we have an Adopt a Cop. So just a lot of things throughout the year, and we always show it to our parents at the end. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
They look like they were having a ball.
Yeah. Yep.
Very fun. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then we will have social emotional initiative, please. Ms. Clowder?
Two things I'd like to say before I start. Renee, so instrumental in putting the videos together. I was going to ask you to hum. I know the tune by heart by now. Thank you all for that. And I don't know if it's a coincidence, but we are the South School Cubbies. So just so we go on record. We're sensing a theme tonight. So, okay.
Well, we could have put Go Cubs Go then. And
It's probably copyrighted. So
that's okay. We don't.
See my back, I'm sorry. All right, well, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share some of the social, emotional, and mental health initiatives being provided
Linda,
in our
could
schools.
you, for those few people in the whole world
You think I would learn?
that don't know, if you could introduce yourself and
All right, I'm Linda Clowder. I'm the Director of Student Services in the district and also the Director of the preschool programs.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Good evening again. Before beginning, let me take a minute to introduce some of the Student Services staff members in attendance this evening. The information being provided represents their input, hence the recurring use of the word "we," and reflects the work that they are doing in our schools every day in collaboration with administration, students, staff, and agencies. While not everyone could join us this evening, I'm very pleased to publicly acknowledge their contributions. So I'm going to read the names of the different staff members that contributed to this, and then when I get to the names of staff members that are here, I'll ask you to stand so that people can see who you are, please. Deborah Moby, school psychologist at Miller South and the junior high school. Maureen Power, a school psychologist at the junior high and at Manning. Alyssa Reynolds, social worker at Miller, Manning, and South. Deidre Robertson, school psychologist at Westmont High School. Thank you, Deidre. Okay. Maggie Wiles, social worker at Westmont High School. And Amanda Winter, social worker at Westmont Junior High School and mother of newly born Noelle, which is a very good reason that she's not here this evening. Our schools are staffed by 3 school psychologists totaling 2.5 FTE. We are grateful to the school board, thank you, for providing the addition of a school psychologist last year. Our full-time school psychologists serve in more than one school, while our half-time school psychologist is assigned specifically to the high school, and that's Dr. Robertson. We have 3 full-time school social workers, with this number representing the addition of a social work position several years ago. This allowed us to provide a full-time social worker at the junior high and a full-time social worker at the high school, and in so doing, to better serve each population. We also know that we have an award-winning high school guidance department staffed by our school counselors, associated with many initiatives that impact the lives of our high school students. We certainly want to recognize the significant contributions made by those high school counselors. Social work and counseling services may be provided to our students from the ages of 3 through 22. In some cases, these services are a component of a student's IEP or individualized education program and are provided at regular intervals throughout the school year. When social work or counseling are a part of an IEP, students are working toward a specific goal, and progress toward goals is reported quarterly. Parents participate in goal development, and the IEP is reviewed each year or more frequently when there is a need. In some cases, social work or counseling is provided for short-term needs in a general education model. Students may be seen individually or in groups. Examples of groups would be the lunch groups that are facilitated in our K-12 settings, generally co-led by speech therapists and social workers, or the freshman transition groups designed to ease and support the passage from grade 8 to grade 9. We're pleased to offer our students a social-emotional curriculum known as Second Step. This curriculum is described as a universal research-based framework for whole child development and success. This social-emotional learning resource is an example of a proactive approach to positive mental health. This curriculum provides weekly themes and has supporting materials to share with parents. The Second Step program begins at the pre-K level. This year, we have re-examined the role of bibliotherapy in the proactive and responsive work we do with students. While this is a topic deserving of a much broader window of time, we are essentially talking about using books to address a problem or a challenge faced by students in a one-to-one or a group setting. There are some examples of these books provided for your review. The samples that we have showcased in the back are relevant to our youngest learners. Whether they are engaged by the tale of Howard B. Wigglebottom learning to listen, or identifying with the realization that everybody feels scared, our children are reassured that others have faced similar situations and have prevailed. Another initiative that may have been reflected in conversations at home with your children associates colors with feelings. The message is that by identifying our feelings and emotions, we can more successfully regulate them. Consider the quote, "Life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it." This idea of feeling red or yellow or green or blue gets us to use a common jargon in our self-statements and is a springboard for an ongoing dialogue that leads to increased self-awareness. More specifically known as the zones of regulation, we continue to see positive student development with this initiative, often implemented by the occupational therapists in our building. In closing, we would also like to mention the greatly anticipated visits from Angel, the comfort dog, in all of our buildings, the friendship teams, which are similar to the concept of a buddy bench, but have been developed in a more structured manner, specifically at Manning School right now, the Safe Spaces group at the junior high, the Best Buddies group at the high school, classroom motivators such as the bucket filler. This is an example of that. We use this in our early childhood program. The De-Stress Your Life events at the high school, largely facilitated and developed by Maggie Wiles. Open door policies practiced by all student support staff, Parent University at the high school, partnerships with the DuPage Regional Office of Education, as in the case of the Anti-Bullying Task Force, partnership with 360 Youth at the junior high and high school, resources through DuPage Mental Health, and collaboration with representatives from hospital programs allowing for positive and supported transitions back to school. While these initiatives are representative of the work currently being done in our schools, there is always a focus on what is to come, and for that reason, we look forward to a future opportunity to share more about this as the school year unfolds. Thank you.
Linda, before you walk away, I just wanted to say thank you for, you have to go back over there. We can't see you on the... I know, you just always want to be in the spotlight. I just want to say thank you, to you and to all of the staff. It's a great collaborative event all the time to see how much support our students have on a day-to-day basis or when things occur and we need more individualized attention. But I think because of the team you have put together and everybody together, it seems like the kids also respond to that and they rise to the occasion and seem to help each other. I happened to be at the high school after school today, and just to watch how the kids interact with each other is wonderful. It's a supportive environment, and obviously at South School, we saw these wonderful pictures of these little kids. But one thing you said that really struck a note, and I want to repeat that, is we provide these services from age 3 to 22. So that is a wonderful element. I know not all districts do that, so I think it's just worth repeating. So thank you to everybody who works on, when we as parents send our children to you, we realize sometimes we send them to you with baggage of maybe they were sent to their room last night or something and they weren't, and sometimes you guys get to really help us with that. So there's a whole range of pieces that are provided to our students. So I just have to say thank you to everybody for.
Well, thank you for the kind remarks, and let me say, because I really don't have the opportunity to do this as often as I should, I would just like to say how much I appreciate being a part of the team. So whether it's a student services team or the early childhood team, I think that the work that they do for students and families is just remarkable, and the credit goes entirely to them. I'm proud to be a participant, but I certainly recognize that they are devoted and passionate, and our students and our families certainly reap the benefits of that. And the other thing I will say is we certainly take very seriously the fact that parents share their children with us, and we hope to fulfill the expectation that they have of us, and I think that the teams do that on a daily basis. So thanks for your kindness. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll also add, I really appreciate the way that the district staff is willing to certainly work with parents and also to work with outside healthcare providers, because that's an important piece as well, that there's a whole circle of communication that goes on between those three people, or three entities, I guess, so that it benefits the child, to the maximum ability. And we've always found it best when we're able to coordinate the same type of language, the same type of working on the same type of problems, all kind of collectively, and everyone's talking to one another. We can't always expect the school to be able to solve everything in that realm. It takes work at home, it takes outside supports as well. And so when you can get everyone on the same page and everyone working together, it really benefits the student.
I absolutely agree with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move to the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Number 1, personnel recommendations, stipend positions, Christopher Pierce, Westmont High School freshman boys basketball coach. Overload pay, Maureen Power, school psychologist. 2, Westmont High School sponsored club organization charter application. 3, approval of consortium for educational change membership. 4, renewal of life and long-term disability insurance. 5, approval of AFR shared services or outsourcing requirement report. 6, approval of October 2016 expenditure report. 7, ratification of September 2016 regular payroll. And 8, resolution to abate working cash funds.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Notbush?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda is for discussion and information, student beekeeping at Westmont High School.
Okay.
You promised us that box doesn't have bees in it.
100% guaranteed.
Okay,
There
just
are
want to
no bees in
reiterate.
that box.
Just want to reiterate, okay.
And it looks like we saw a junior beekeeper in the preschool
Yes.
photos as well.
Yes.
So,
How to tie that together, right?
Perfect.
I know.
See, talk about tie-ins.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
honey.
Okay. So, I am Nathan Chamberlain, a science teacher at the high school. I'm here to talk about bees, and I hope by the end of this presentation you will know that bees please is not only a request but also a fact. So that's bees please. I'm going to be brief because the buzz is that there's a game on after this. So in brief, if you'd like to talk bees at any time after this point, come see me. I love talking bees. But in brief, a third of every bite of food that we eat in the United States relies on bees for pollination in some way, either directly or indirectly. The problem is bees are being challenged all around by pesticides, by fungus, by varroa many, many challenges to it. So at a time when they're the most needed, they're at a loss. They're struggling. What can we do about this problem? I will share with you. Bees at Westmont High School is hopefully one thing we can do with this problem, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why this is a good idea. First of all, we already have a thriving, growing garden. We had a great year at the garden, and part of the reason is because we planted flowers. Maybe you've seen them there. They're not just there for looks. They're there to attract pollinators. They're already there. If we brought bees, we would have even more. We would have an even more robust garden. Actually, bees are shown to increase by up to 3 times the yield of a certain garden, a certain field. Another great reason is bees, believe it or not, make honey. which is great, and it's delicious. But some people don't know, local honey has been shown to work much like an allergy shot. If you expose yourself to the pollens, you tend to have decreased allergy symptoms. If we bring bees to Westmont High School, we will get that local pollen for people to either get through the People's Resource Center, where we're going to donate honey, or they can buy it at our lovely farmers market. And any money made at that lovely farmers market from honey will go right back into the bee program. Self-sustaining. That sounds great. And, of course, with anything, there are safety concerns. These are stinging insects. I knew there were probably going to be questions about that. Before I go on, though, I want to say most people that don't like bees don't like the guys on the left. Those are yellow jackets. They're aggressive. They ruin picnics. They're jerks. Honeybees are friendly, and they just have a job. They just want to make honey. They just want to help out the hive. That's their whole job. They don't like bothering you. So if you don't like bees, usually you don't like yellow jackets. That's just a little thing that I wanted to get into the meeting. But safety concerns, they are stinging insects. These students will be trained on protocols used currently at Chicago High School for Agricultural Sciences. Scott Nelson, somebody I've been working with to establish protocols to make sure that we're as safe as we can possibly be. He has his students work in full veil, full gowns, gloves. They manage over 40 hives. I don't want anywhere near that, but they do. They manage 40 hives, and they've had no major incidents. I'm okay working without gloves, but on campus, I will follow those protocols to a T, and I will look like the guys on top, not the guy down below, which is me. Also, we will have EpiPens on hand. There are allergies. Some people do have allergies, and so having an EpiPen on hand. Anybody who has a bee allergy should have an EpiPen with them anyway, but we will have some at the nurse's office just in case, just to make sure that we're covered there. And then lastly, that's our lovely high school. It's very hard not to know, after you've seen that very strange shape that we love. You notice everything on the left is the high school, where all the people are, and that smiley face on the far, far, far edge is where the bees are proposed to be kept.
Yeah.
We will install screens in order to make sure that the flight pattern of the bees is out of the ways of people. When they run into a barrier, they go up to about 20 feet, and they don't bother people until they find a good source of nectar for them to dine upon again. But yes, that's another safety barrier right there, is having them behind a locked fence away from the common populace. And then finally, any project that comes with funding is probably a better project, and I was selected for a SCORE grant by the IEA, pending board approval of the bees on campus. So that's why this is kind of rushed and fast, but yes, I do have funding. And to literally sweeten the deal, I have some samples from
Is this bribery?
the actual hive.
This
I
bribery.
asked Mr. Terry if it was okay. So
Thank you.
you're very welcome.
I'm gonna put that right
These were
next to
actually taken from the hive that is proposed to come to the high school earlier in July. We extracted this honey. It is raw. It is not pasteurized. If you have infants at home, maybe a good idea to wait a couple of years with this type of honey before they enjoy it. If there are any questions, I'll answer them now, or I can let you guys.
That looks exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, you answered every one of my questions on there, so.
Okay,
I have a question.
sure.
I believe there's a bee project over at Oakbrook Hills Resort right along Cass Avenue, Reps.
Yes.
When you have projects like this near each other, do they help each other in any way? I mean, is that like a good thing? Do you get more results out of having them nearby, or?
So bees will travel about 5 to 10 miles. So that's definitely within commingling range. And probably drones, male bees from my hive and drones from their hives will commingle, and that'll give some good biodiversity. That is the one other thing that I wanted to say, is not only will we have these products, but this will be a great educational opportunity for students, thank you for reminding me, to learn about beekeeping, to learn about how important they are to the world, to learn about the diversity like that, the genetics, the behavior, it's all really interesting. And if beekeeping isn't great for a college application, I don't know what is. So, but yes, there will be interactions and they will benefit each other. That biodiversity in a colony is going to actually be beneficial for to save them from colony collapse, because that's a major problem in California where there's very, very uniform type of bees. They're more prone to the colony collapse disorder that we don't suffer from as much around here. But yeah, that'll be a good thing. And I actually do want to work with them to maybe get some sort of project working together at the resort there.
Wow.
Right.
One more question.
Sure.
Are those bees on your tie?
Absolutely.
They are.
And I mentioned that I have enough Halloween ties to cover myself from a couple of weeks ago, or last week, through Halloween, and I pulled one out of the rotation just to make sure I wore my bee tie today for this talk.
Okay.
Exciting.
We need to get some more enthusiastic teachers in our district. What do you think?
Okay.
Awesome.
Step away.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice.
You stood up, Johnny. Are you volunteering for? Oh, I thought you were going to be volunteering to be in that committee. Okay. All right. Then the next thing is proposed Westmont High School course offerings.
And Hank Vaughn is here from the High School Fine Arts Department.
Good evening. I'm Hank Vaughn. I'm the Director of Bands at Westmont High School. I'm representing myself and Mr. Erlob, Director of Choral Activities. Again, even as a Sox fan, I had to promise tonight no filibusters before I came in. But I do want to thank Mr. Chamberlain as the freshman baseball coach for putting a bunch of bees in my outfield, but we'll talk about that later. The reason we're trying to get these two course offerings in is pretty simple. I go back to the surprising truth about what motivates us by Daniel Pink and how we get our musicians to push just a little bit harder. What we're proposing, Mr. Erlob and myself, is not necessarily adding a new course, but a new curriculum for students already in the symphonic band and the madrigal program. So the only cost to the district would be the new course proposals. There's no additional FTE to be added. But what this is going to do, and I'll go over it briefly again, the honors madrigal would add a highly selective group of kids that would be able to do additional activities, such as getting honors credit for this by doing recitals, by doing papers, et cetera, to give them a little more depth into the literature they're doing and also into the technique of vocals. As far as my course, the Honors Wind Ensemble, they're going to do 2 small ensemble performances. They'll do mini recitals. This helps prepare them, especially if they're going into music education. I know I have 3 juniors currently that are already applying for music education. I have 2 other music ed majors already in the field and a few minors out there as well. So this is going to better prepare them as they go into college. Not every kid's going to go to be an engineer or a doctor. We need to make sure, there isn't a section of AP band or AP choir per se. But what we can do is give them a little bit extra. The additional thing to them is I have lost a student or 2 through the years that are bordering on the top 10 and say, well, this is great, I love band, but I'm going to lose these GPA points if I don't take an AP course. We don't want that to happen again. So we want to give them that boost to their honors credit as well, and those are the kids that are going to work hard and they're going to exceed expectations. So again, all this would be for us is the minor project curriculum writing. It wouldn't add FTE, and the current course offering budgets would be used to support the new class. So there's no additional budget for these courses. They will just simply be absorbed by the symphonic band and the madrigal budget as they stand now. It's about as brief as I can get because I understand there's some sort of game going on. Can I answer any questions on those?
So it would be kids already in the regular band or madrigals?
Correct. It would be so students could either enroll for symphonic band or the honors wind ensemble or madrigals or he's calling his course exactly Honors Madrigals. So it would, instead of enrolling for one, they would enroll for the other. But if they enroll for the honors course, they're required to do the additional recitals, the different coursework, and that's what we want to design, because we want to make it worth their while. We really want to push them farther. We've got such a great program here that we want to, you push it even farther.
Sounds exciting.
Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A quick comment on that. I want to say how much I appreciate it, because I remember that from high school, passing some classes I would have liked to have taken because I was more concerned about the credits and the GPA stuff. So I love that this is going to make it available to those kids. Thank you.
Okay, the next item for discussion, policy first reading.
And the policy committee met on October 18th and reviewed several policies recommended by press services, which is through the Illinois School Board Association. And the policies, the committee reviewed those and has no hesitation recommending almost all the policies to the board for approval. Tonight is the first reading, and then at our next board meeting would be the second reading and adoption. The one policy that the committee wanted to put on hold is policy 7270, which is administering medicines to students. And the change in the policy, we've always have had the EpiPens that Nate had referenced. That has already been part of our policy. Well, the new addition now is, you may have heard of products such as Narcan, which can be administered to somebody who is suffering a drug overdose, and can be administered and can, in some cases, save the individual's life. Well, now that product is being made available to schools, and so there is a policy, change in the policy that would allow for the district then to adopt that, and then to also train individuals, most likely our school nurses, to administer those. The policy committee wanted me to reach out first to Hodges Louisi, our law firm, and I did, and the response back was that this portion of the policy is not something that districts have to adopt. It's purely optional. And then in terms of any additional liability or risk for the district, the attorney said there is no additional risk as long as the person is trained and is doing it in good faith. If a mistake is made, there is no additional liability to the district. Linda Cloudwitter, our Director of Student Services, she's also provided information to me regarding this, and it's something that I'm going to include in the board update so the board can review it as well, so that they have a better understanding of the risk factors involved. And Linda has also reached out to the Westmont Fire Department to talk to them a little bit, and we're waiting for a response from Westmont Fire Department in terms of exactly, the response time and, how much, it is administered and then how long it would take the fire department to respond and those types of things. So it's something that we're looking at to see if indeed we want to recommend this for adoption for our district. And again, at our next board meeting would be the second reading. If we still are not comfortable that we have all the information that we need, we can always, delay adoption of that policy until we have all the information that we need.
Do we know more about the training component that goes along with that? Is it?
I'm not aware of the training component, but
Okay.
I can get that information.
See, I don't know if there's some sort of additional certification type thing that you have to go through, and
There is, because the policy references that the trained personnel will receive a statement, a certification pursuant to the state law.
Okay.
And that would have to be on file in the building.
All right, so we should probably know a little bit about that part of it, if that's something that would be required for all the nursing staff or that sort of thing.
Well, thank you to the policy committee members for meeting on this. Joel and Matt, thank you for that. Okay. Then the next item is presentation of monthly financial statements.
Right, this evening, we have the August financial statements. The district received $137,000 from the state this year. or this month, and that was all in the ed fund for some of the fourth quarter categoricals. They vouchered $365,000 of FY16 payments that we have not yet received, and there are no FY17 payments vouchered as of the end of August. We did receive another installment of the 2015 tax levy in the amount of $388,000. Total collections are $12.1 million with a 53.4% collection rate, and which is just slightly higher than the last 2 years. In the ed fund, there are $207,000 of FY16 payments that have been vouchered and not released, and no FY17 payments vouchered as of August. Revenues are where they should be at this time in both ed and O&M funds. And then in the transportation fund, the state vouchered $157,000 of FY16 payments, so we're still waiting for fourth quarter categoricals there. No FY17 payments have been vouchered at this time. And our revenues are lower because of the fourth quarter mandated categoricals not being received yet. Expenditures in the ed fund are comparable to the prior year, and in the O&M fund, they're lower because of the way we've done projects, where we're paying for projects out of the capital projects fund this year versus out of the O&M fund last year. And then transportation fund, our expenditures vary year to year. We still have not paid for some of the special ed transportation yet as of August. School is just starting, so there were not bills there. And then the investments, fund balance, statement of position, activity funds are all attached for your review. Does anybody have questions?
No.
Thank you. No, thank you. Okay, now we will move on to action items. So that SCORE grant is,
Right, that's the funding mechanism for the
yeah, because I didn't see anything on there, so. All right. So action items. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the SCORE grant for beekeeping as presented.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? I'm
Aye.
sorry, roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Notbush?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes?
Thank you.
Bring on the bees. Okay, the next item is approval of proposed Westmont High School course offerings. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the proposed high school offerings as presented.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Mrs. Notbush?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bring on the AP.
Be on the honors.
Okay, superintendent's report, do you have anything?
I just have one item, and it's a reminder that on Wednesday, November 9th at 6:30 PM, we'll have our joint committee meeting. It will be the first one of the year in the Westmont High School Commons. And the joint committee, again, is an opportunity for the Finance Committee, Facility Committee, Strategic Plan Committee, Climate Committee, and Public Relations Committee to meet and share information, and community members are encouraged to attend. So again, we'll be meeting on Wednesday, November 9th at 6:30 PM in the high school commons, and typically our meetings end by 8 o'clock in the evening.
Do you want to mention, like, that we don't have school on election day? And
Right.
then about, there's parent-teacher conferences?
Sure, and then as Marie asked me to remind our community, November 3rd and November 4th are parent-teacher conferences. November 3rd, they're from 5 o'clock in the evening to 9 o'clock in the evening, and then November 4th from 8 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock in the morning. And I believe all the schools now have Skyward. It's available that you can register for the conferences. And then November 8th, which is Election Day, will be a Teachers Institute, so there is no student attendance. The junior high is used as a polling place, and so we typically will schedule one of our fall institutes on the Election Day. So again, November 8th will be a non-attendance day for our students.
Is there an election coming up?
I think so.
Just kind of going with the flow here. Okay, board reports, anybody have any? Nope, thing to discuss. Okay, are there any other public comments? Okay, then, future meetings and events in addition to what Kevin had just mentioned. The Westmont High School Fall Play is this weekend, and it is Friday night at 7 o'clock. And then Saturday and Sunday at 2 o'clock. Then, again, the joint committee meeting is November 9th at 6:30 at the high school, and the next school board meeting, November 15th at 7 o'clock here at Westmont Village Hall. So we are not going to go to.
Yeah, no need for, right.
Okay, we do not have a closed session tonight. Kind of nice. So the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting closed. Go Cubbies. Okay.
Excellent.